My son's sticky fingers left a bright pink smear on my husband's white collar, and he whispered, "Mama said don't tell you." I didn't move. I waited for him to say Emma. He didn't. My husband laughed too fast, lifted Theo off my hip, and turned his shoulder like his shirt just happened. The scent hit me under the detergent, powdery, sweet, not my perfume. "Late," he said, already steering Theo toward the door. "Grab his bag. Emma's waiting." Theo kicked his heels, chanting, "Mama, Mama," and he wasn't looking at me. I yanked Theo's backpack off the hook and unzipped it. A warm puff of floral perfume rolled out, expensive and wrong, like it belonged on a neck, not in a toddler's bag. Something small clinked inside. I dug past a snack pouch and pulled out a tiny lip balm, pink cap, brand I didn't recognize. My husband's hand shot out. Too quick. He snatched it like it burned him. "It's from the car," he said, and shoved it back in the bag without looking at it. My throat went dry. He kissed my cheek and his collar brushed my face. The lipstick smell sat there like a fingerprint. The door clicked. Their footsteps vanished. I stood in the hallway holding the bag like it was evidence, and I didn't know what court to bring it to. My phone buzzed. "All good. Don't stress. Emma's got him." I opened our shared calendar. New entry, repeating, GYM, Tuesday/Thursday 6:30 p.m. No location. It started 3 weeks ago. The first week Emma showed up. My thumb hovered over the call button for my husband. If I was wrong, I would burn my marriage down over perfume and a kid mispronouncing a word. If I was right, I was already late. I told myself, quick and stupid, he probably meant my mom. "Mama, Grandma." Then I dialed daycare. "Hi," I said, voice smooth enough to pass. "Just checking, Theo got dropped off okay?" A pause. Keyboard taps. "Theo isn't here today," the receptionist said. My stomach dropped. Right, I lied. "Thank you." I hung up and called my husband. Voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I grabbed my keys, then stopped mid-step and turned toward the hall closet. We kept the old baby monitor in a box, backup from when we traveled. I hadn't touched it in months. The box felt lighter than it should. The receiver was on top like someone had opened it recently and put it back in a hurry. I plugged it in. The screen flickered to life. Static hissed, then steadied, like it was locking onto a signal that had been active for hours. That made my skin go cold. I cranked the volume. A woman's voice came through, close to the mic, playful. "Hands up. Show me. Good boy." Theo giggled, loud and clear, like he was in the next room. Then a second sound underneath it, steady, mechanical, like a building vent or an elevator fan. "Not our house. Our vents don't sound like that." Again, the woman said. "Say it so I can hear you." Theo's breath puffed into the mic. He sounded proud. "Mommy." I squeezed the receiver so hard my fingers ached. "He doesn't call me that. He calls me Mom. Or he just climbs me like a tree." The woman laughed, pleased. "That's right. Mommy." A man's chuckle joined it, deep, familiar, smiling in a way I hadn't heard aimed at me in months. "See," my husband said. "He's getting it." Theo squealed like he'd won a prize. "Mommy, Mommy." My husband laughed again, soft and warm, like it was the sweetest thing in the world. And Theo shouted one more time, louder, closer to the mic, like he was calling her from a doorway. "Mama." The receiver hissed in my pocket, and one thing hit me clean: this baby monitor doesn't pick up random voices unless the camera is close. I yanked the box out of the closet again. The foam insert had a neat empty slot. The camera was gone. Static thinned. Theo's giggle came through so clear it felt like he was in my kitchen. Someone had set that camera up today. On purpose. I stepped outside and the audio sharpened even more. I walked 2 houses down. Clearer. I jogged to my car, started it, pulled away. Theo's voice faded like a bad radio station. I stopped hard at the corner, and the sound snapped back to perfect. My hands went numb around the steering wheel. If I drove away, I lost them. If I stayed close, I could track them. I crept along the edge of our neighborhood, stopping every few seconds, listening for the moment the signal locked in. It did, suddenly, brutally clear. I looked up. A new apartment building sat at the end of the street, glass and gray brick, the kind with a staffed lobby and security cameras in the corners. The air outside it buzzed with constant ventilation, and that same hum I'd heard under Theo's giggles lived in the walls. I shouldn't go in alone. I knew that in the quiet part of my brain. My feet didn't care. The lobby door slid open. Warm air hit me, fresh paint, bleach, and coffee. A machine hissed somewhere behind the desk, steaming milk. The receiver in my pocket barely crackled now. The signal was so strong it didn't need to fight. Mailboxes lined the wall, all identical, all clean. Most names were gone, replaced with printed initials. A few had only unit numbers. I stared at one label that made my throat close. Not my husband's full name. Just a single letter, his first initial, and a unit number. M5D. My knees went soft. Because that was how he labeled his tools in the garage. One letter. Sharpie. Ownership. Easy to deny if anyone asked. Theo giggled again through the receiver. A woman shushed him, smiling. Inside voice, baby. Inside voice. Like they were in a hallway. Like someone might hear. I pulled my phone out and hit record, thumb shaking. If I walked into a lie without proof, he'd turn it into my fault by sunset. I called my husband. Voicemail. I called Emma. 2 rings. She picked up like she'd been waiting. Hey, everything okay? Her voice was bright, casual, perfect. Where's Theo? I asked. A tiny pause, just long enough to feel rehearsed. He's with me. He's fine. Put him on. Another pause. In my pocket, Theo's real laugh popped through the receiver, close enough to crawl under my skin. Emma's phone voice stayed smooth. He's busy. We're at. And then I heard her again, not through the phone, but through the monitor, softer and closer, aimed at my son like a stage whisper. Okay, good listening. Mommy's on the phone. My stomach dropped so hard I stopped breathing. She was lying to me while standing close enough for the camera to catch her whisper. I spun slowly. The lobby was empty except for a bored front desk guy staring at a screen and a delivery shelf stacked with brown paper bags. One of them had a name scrawled in black marker, Emma. Under it, a smaller note, 5D. My fingers went cold on my phone. Theo chirped into the monitor, proud. Mommy said I get a cookie. Not treat. Not snack. Cookie, like a reward word. Like a script. I walked to the directory screen mounted by the elevators. Above it, a small sign read Visitor Directory in clean corporate font, like they expected strangers to use it. I typed my husband's last name with shaking hands. Nothing. I tried his first name. Nothing. Then I typed his initial. M5D. The elevator behind me pinged. Doors opened with a soft sigh. Empty. I jammed my hand in before they could close, stepped inside, and stared at the button panel like it might bite me. My thumb hovered over 5. In my pocket, Theo's voice went bright and loud, like he was calling across a room. Daddy, tell Mommy I called her Mommy. A man's voice answered, my husband's, low and pleased. Good boy, he said. Not her. Not her. My lungs refused to work. I hit 5. The door slid shut. My phone buzzed in my palm with a text from my husband. Jim ran late. Don't wait up. The elevator opened on 5 to a hallway that smelled like fresh glue and reheated dinner. My pocket monitor wasn't even crackling now. The signal was locked in. I was standing inside whatever they'd built. 5D sat at the end, matte black door, brand new wreath, a welcome mat that said home like a joke. I heard Theo through the wood. Mommy, watch. A woman's laugh, soft and close. Okay, show me. I didn't knock. I tried the handle. It turned like it was waiting for me. The latch had been flipped open on purpose. They never lock it. They want me to walk in. I stepped inside and my eyes went straight to the bookshelf. The baby monitor camera sat there, aimed at the couch, little green light on. Recording. Watching. My face would be the first thing it caught. I lifted my phone and started filming back. A framed photo on the side table hit me next, Theo on Emma's lap, grinning, cheeks sticky, her arm wrapped around him like a claim. She was wearing my old gray sweater, the one that vanished last month. On the kitchen counter, my husband's wedding ring sat beside a bowl of cut strawberries, placed too neatly, like someone wanted it seen. Then the sound of running water from down the hall pulled me forward. Shower. Theo's feet pattered, little squeaks on tile. He giggled and the giggle bounced off hard walls like he was in the bathroom with her. I stopped just before the hallway, staying in the camera's line so it would capture me calm, not frantic. Lobby cameras. This camera. My face was already in their version. Voices drifted through the half-open bathroom door. Emma, low and sweet, the same voice she'd used on the phone. Okay, quiet. Daddy's talking. My husband answered, relaxed, like he was on his couch in his house. She won't come here. She doesn't even know. Emma made a small pleased sound. And if she does? My husband didn't even hesitate. Then the camera gets what we need. My stomach went hollow. Not we'll talk. Not I'll explain. Just the camera. Theo chirped, excited, repeating the word like it was a game. Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. Emma whispered, good boy. A pause. Cookie after. Cookie after. A reward word. A prompt. I edged my phone toward the wall by the entry where a whiteboard hung. Dry erase marker in tidy, cold handwriting. WED, record call. FRI, fight day. Fight day. I didn't blink. My hand shook anyway. The shower stopped. The bathroom door creaked. I backed up one step into the living room so the camera would get the whole frame, me, the doorway, whatever walked out next. Theo ran out first, hair damp, cheeks flushed, shirt crooked. He saw me and froze. For half a second his face lit up, pure instinct. He took one step toward me. Hope punched through me so fast it hurt. Then Emma's voice slid in behind him, soft as a leash. "It's okay, baby. Come here." Theo's eyes flicked to her like he was checking the script. Emma appeared in a towel, hair dripping, calm like this was her apartment and I was the delivery. She didn't look surprised. She looked ready. My husband stepped out after her in sweatpants, no shoes, no gym bag, like he'd been home for hours. He glanced at my raised phone, then at the baby monitor camera, and his mouth tightened, not fear, not guilt. Annoyance. Like I was off schedule. Theo hesitated again, caught between us. Emma crouched, arms open. "Come to mama." Theo didn't just move. He launched. He ran past me like I was furniture and crashed into her, burying his face in her towel. "Mama," he sobbed into her, muffled and desperate, like he was afraid of saying the wrong name. My husband's tone snapped into that controlled, practiced softness, like he'd said it before, on tape. "Put the phone down," he said. "You're upsetting him." That tone again. The one designed for witnesses. I kept filming. Emma didn't look at me. She rocked my son and stared over his head at my husband, like they were checking boxes. Theo clung to her, shaking, and my eyes dropped to the whiteboard one more time. Under FRI, Fight Day, in smaller letters, a single word had been added like a final instruction. My eyes stayed on the whiteboard, trigger, and something in me went flat and cold. They didn't want answers. They wanted a clip of me losing control. "If you touch my phone, I scream," I said, still filming. "And this building has cameras. So don't." My husband's jaw ticked. "Lower it. You're making a scene." I tilted my lens just enough to catch the baby monitor's green light. "Your camera's already filming. Mine just makes it honest." Theo clung to Emma's shoulder, hiccuping. He peeked at me, then at my husband, like he was waiting for a cue. I softened my voice on purpose. "Hi, baby. It's me." Theo's hand slipped off Emma's towel and reached toward me, two small fingers stretching. Emma's palm pressed gently between his shoulder blades. Not a shove. A reminder. Theo's hand dropped. My vision blurred for a second. I blinked it away. My husband stepped closer, palms open like he was the safe one. He angled his body so the hallway was behind him, cutting off my path to the door. "Let's talk outside," he said. "You're worked up." Worked up. There it was, the label, clean and ready. I nodded once like I agreed, then tapped my screen. FaceTime. My sister. Speaker on. Still recording. It rang. My husband's eyes snapped to my phone and he lunged, not fast enough to look violent on camera, just fast enough to look concerned. His fingers brushed my wrist. I jerked back a half step. "Don't." He froze mid-reach, then immediately put on the soft face again, like he'd practiced this move. "See," he said, loud enough for any mic. "This is what I mean." My sister answered, groggy. "Hello?" "Stay on," I said. "Don't hang up. Just listen." Emma rocked Theo and aimed her voice at the room like she was soothing him for an audience. "It's okay, sweetheart. Breathe with mama." Theo's eyes flicked to me again. Confused. Torn. He made a tiny sound that could have been mom or could have been nothing. My throat tightened around the next word anyway. "Theo." My voice cracked on his name. Just once. I swallowed it down before it could turn into what they wanted. I raised my phone higher so my sister could see them. "Where is my son supposed to be right now?" My husband answered instantly, like it was written. "With Emma." "Like we planned." "We never planned that," I said. One sentence. That's all I gave it. He pointed at my phone, not at Theo. "You broke into a private unit. You're filming my child. You want me to call security?" Emma's mouth twitched, almost satisfied. Her eyes stayed on my face, waiting for the spark. I moved my camera to the counter. His wedding ring sat there in plain sight. Then I panned to the wall, the whiteboard. WED, record call. FRI, Fight Day. Trigger. My sister's voice sharpened. "Tell me exactly where you are." I said it like a report, loud and clear. "The Ashford Apartments. Lobby sign says Ashford. Corner of Lark Street and the pharmacy with the blue awning. 5th floor. Unit 5D. My husband's calm slipped for a second. His nostrils flared. "Stop saying that." "No," I said. "Because you're not getting to rewrite where my kid is." Theo shifted in Emma's arms, restless. He stared at me longer this time, lip trembling. He leaned forward like he might climb down. Emma tightened her hold. "Shoo, Daddy's handling it. Daddy's handling it." My husband took another step toward me, and I caught that powdery perfume on his skin again. He lowered his voice so the cameras would miss the edges of it. Put the phone down, he murmured. Or I call security and tell them you forced your way in. Then I call the police. And you leave alone. My blood went cold. Emma's arms locked around Theo like a seatbelt. Theo started crying harder, and she bounced him like she was trying to keep him too loud to think. My husband lifted his own phone, already poised. Last chance. I didn't move. I kept filming. My hand shook, but I didn't drop it. Theo raised his face, tears streaking down, and he looked straight at my husband, checking. Then he turned back to me and spoke slowly, careful, like he was reciting something he'd practiced until it sounded normal. Mama says, you're not safe. Mama says, you're not safe. Theo's little voice hung in the air like a dare. For half a second nobody moved, like the room was waiting to see if I'd give them what they wanted. My husband raised his phone and put it to his ear. Security, he said, already warm and wounded. A woman forced her way into my unit. She's filming and scaring my child. Emma pressed her cheek to Theo's head and whispered loud enough for any mic. It's okay, baby. Daddy's here. Theo's eyes flicked to my husband, checking if he said it right. I didn't step forward. I didn't reach. I kept my phone up and my voice low. Tell them the latch was open, I said. Tell them why it was open. My husband's stare sharpened. He didn't answer. He didn't have a clean line for that. My sister's FaceTime was still on speaker. Her voice cut through, fast and panicked. I'm in the lobby. I'm calling 911. Don't let him take your phone. Do it, I said. Ashford Apartments. Corner of Lark Street and the pharmacy with the blue awning. 5th floor, 5D. My husband's mouth twitched. Stop repeating the address. The front door slammed with a hard knock that made Theo jolt. Security. My husband opened the door like a hero letting help in. 2 security guys filled the doorway, radios clipped to their belts. Their eyes went to my phone first, then to Theo clinging to Emma. My husband spoke fast, polished. She broke in. She's unstable. I need her removed. One guard held up a hand, not on my side, not on his. Ma'am, step back. And I need ID from both of you. There it was, friction. Procedure. No rescuer. Just a checklist. I nodded once and reached into my pocket slowly, keeping my other hand visible. I slid my driver's license out and held it up. I'm his mother, I said. And I'm recording because there's a camera already filming me. The guard glanced at my license, then at my husband. Sir, your ID. My husband's smile tightened. He produced it like it offended him. The second guard stepped into the living room and his eyes landed where I wanted them to land, the whiteboard on the wall. I moved my phone so the lens caught it in frame. Read that, I said, simple. Out loud. The guard frowned like he didn't want to, then he did anyway. Wed. Record call. His voice slowed. Friday. Fight day. Trigger. The room shifted. I felt it in my skin. Emma stopped rocking for one beat. My husband's face hardened, the soft mask sliding sideways. That's, my husband started. The first guard lifted his radio. Dispatch, I need police up here. Possible domestic. And a child present. My husband snapped back into performance. That board means nothing. She's trespassing. The second guard's eyes lifted to the bookshelf. The baby monitor camera's green light stared back like an eye that never blinked. Sir, he said, pointing at it. What's that doing here? My husband answered too quickly. Nanny cam. For Theo. And the latch? The first guard asked, glancing at the door. It was still flipped open, still wrong, still obvious. My husband's jaw flexed. She forced it. I didn't argue. I pivoted to action. I tapped my screen and pulled up my call log, then my daycare voicemail transcription. I put it on speaker without explaining. A receptionist's voice filled the room. Theo isn't here today. Theo whimpered at the sound, confused by familiar adult voices saying things he didn't understand. His arms tightened around Emma, then loosened, like his body couldn't decide where safe was supposed to be. My husband took a step toward me, not big, not dramatic, just enough to get close to the phone. The first guard stepped between us immediately. Sir, back up. My husband froze, then smiled like he'd never moved. Of course. The elevator dinged down the hall. 2 police officers arrived, scanning the open door, the cameras, the crying kid, the woman holding a phone like a shield. One officer raised his hands. Everybody breathe. Nobody touches anybody. My husband started talking before the officer finished his sentence. She broke in. She's filming. She's upsetting my son. The officer's eyes went to Theo, then to me. Ma'am. Identification. I held my license out again. The officer read it, then looked at my husband's ID, then at Theo's face, really looking this time. We're not deciding custody in a hallway, the officer said, flat. We're doing a welfare check and separating the adults. That's it. Emma's eyes flicked to my husband like that wasn't the plan. The officer pointed at the whiteboard. What is that? The security guard answered for me. I read it. Record call. Fight day. Trigger. My husband's voice rose, sharper. That's her. She wrote that to make me look bad. The officer looked at the baby monitor camera. And that? My husband swallowed. A tiny delay, but it existed. For Theo, he said again, weaker. The officer held out his hand toward me. Ma'am, show me what you've recorded. I stepped forward and placed my phone in his palm. My hand stayed visible. My throat burned, but I kept my voice quiet. Just watch 10 seconds. He watched. His face changed in a way that didn't need words. He handed it back and turned to my husband. Sir, step into the hallway with me, he said. My husband's eyes went cold. Why? Because right now you're escalating, the officer said. And we're not letting this turn into whatever that board is. Theo made a small desperate sound and reached toward me again, fingers opening and closing like he was trying to remember which direction was allowed. Emma corrected him instantly, tugging him back into her towel. Theo let out a full, ugly wail, no script, no careful words. Something broke through me. Not rage. Not screaming. Just a raw, human sound I couldn't stop. Theo, I whispered. He twisted in Emma's arms and looked at me, really looked, and for a split second his face softened like he recognized the shape of home. My husband saw it and snapped, finally dropping the gentle tone. He's not going with you. The officer's head turned sharp. Sir, stop. My husband kept going anyway, loud now, for the cameras. She's not safe. The officer didn't blink. Then you file for an emergency order. Today. In family court. He pointed at Emma. Ma'am, set the child down. Emma hesitated. The second officer stepped closer. Now. Emma lowered Theo like she was placing something fragile on a table. The moment Theo's feet hit the carpet, he sprinted, straight into me. He hit my knees so hard it hurt. His arms wrapped my neck, his whole body shaking like he'd been holding himself together with tape. I held him and stared over his head at my husband. My husband stood by the doorway of 5D, ringless, empty hands, eyes dead calm. No yelling now. Just watching, like this wasn't over, like he was already planning the next version. The officer's voice dropped beside me, quiet, almost to himself. Ma'am, your husband has a lease here? I didn't answer. I couldn't. I carried Theo out, his face pressed into my shoulder. In the elevator, under bright clean lights, he whispered against my neck, small and broken. Mama said, say it. The doors slid shut, sealing them on the other side. Theo's fingers twisted in my hair, and his breathing finally slowed. Then, so quiet it barely existed, he gave me the word back. Mom,